In today's video, I will be attempting one of the hardest challenge runs ever in Grounded. This challenge run will push me to my limit, to my actual limits. I will be using probably the most, if not the worst weapons and armor ever found in Grounded. The entire rotten armor and gear set. These weapons and armor are found throughout the entire yard of Grounded. And don't be fooled, these weapons and armor, although they are free, they are the worst weapons. They do little damage and they have such low durability. One of my fellow content creators, Paralyzed, has tried this challenge run, but the challenge run bested him too much and he had to lower the game's difficulty. Today, I'm here to change that on medium difficulty. Welcome to the Grounded Rotten Only Challenge Run. We first off our challenge run in the kids case, then I start to adventure near the hedge area, collecting resources on the way. I then found a field station, and then at that field station I analyzed sprig, pebblets, and plant fiber. The reason I'm over here is because I found my very first rotten weapon, the rotten lava blade. The rotten lava blade has a poison on hit effect, but the durability is so garbage and there's only one of them in the game. With my new rotten weapon in hand, I took out the lawn mine string on the wire on the outside and the inside of the spacer. I now went ahead and crafted myself a pebble axe because I'm allowed to use any weapon to cut down for resource purposes only. The rotten gear is only for dealing damage. At the next field station I found was some granola bars, and I researched the grass planks as well as the sap. My next objective was to go inside the red ant hill, well then I crafted a pebble hammer as I'll use that pebble hammer to break brittle marble and brittle quartzite. But I was mostly down here for the red ant hill burgle chip, my very first armor set of the game, the rotten bee armor set. And on my way out, I also took some red ant eggs as I need them for bombs later. Speaking about bombs, I went over to the haze and inhaled a bunch of toxic fumes to kill some infected mites to get 2 fungal growths to craft the bomb. I went ahead and analyzed the red ant egg to get the brat burst recipe, and then made a crafting bench to make the brat burst. Over at the spacer, I turned it on and activated the spacer, unlocking burgle and the oak hill lab. Next to the oak hill lab, I went ahead and set up my base on this little stump, and I crafted the acorn shovel, and then used that acorn shovel to kill some grubs as I need their hide and sludge for smoothies and more crafting materials later. Eventually, I went inside the lab and helped up Burgle, and then when he got up, I spoke to him and gave him the red ant hill chip I just collected. Then in his science shop, I bought the smithing station and the fiber bandage efficiency upgrade. Back at base, I made a smoothing station and a smithing station, then decided to upgrade my weapons and gear. Upgrading gear using materials would reset the durability, so it's pretty much a free way to reset your weapon's durability. And straight off the bat, my next objective was the pond lab. Inside this little cave, I got the rotten fin flops, which would help me swim faster in the water. Then I went to the sunken T-Rex, got the Mertean mutation, and got my second rotten weapon of the game, the Stinger Spear. The only thing I'll be able to use to kill underwater creatures. Speaking about killing underwater creatures, I killed a tadpole to get its meat, a water boatman to get its gold card, and also water flea meat for its meat. And I'd use all 3 of these materials to make smoothies because I couldn't make a guild tube because that thing is not rotten. Back at base, I made sure I made enough smoothies, making 3 fluid flippers as well as 3 liquid gills. I thought that this was going to be like a very near end, like close call to almost die, but with my rotten fin flop, all my smoothies, and my mutations, I had enough time to get in there with like 20 seconds left of air. I also found my only light source of the game, the rotten slime lantern, but I never used it. And then I went ahead and activated all 3 of the breakers, which would then give me access to the pond lab. Inside the pond lab, I grabbed a bunch of muscle sprouts as this would be the best way to create smoothies, and also I grabbed the super chip, duper disc, and activated the pond dome. Now in this little cave, I found the 4-leaf clover, which gave me the coup de grace mutation, which pretty much increases my crit chance, which is what I would like. More damage is better. Then over near the hedge, I killed bombardier beetles using my main strategy for the run, throwing spears at their face. I was needed to kill bombardier beetles as I need 4 boiling glands to craft an oven, and without an oven, I can't summon any bosses. In the hedge, I was breaking some web sacks for some stink bug gas sacks, as I need that gas sack to make gastro goo so I could breathe in the gas air. Over in the hedge lab, it was now time to complete the lab where I got my very first free milk molar, then went ahead and collected all the password pieces and then input them into the computer, getting another super chip and duper disc. Then climbing a bit further into the hedge, get the broodmother BLT. In this cave, I found the 3rd and final rotten weapon of the entire game, the rotten red ant club. I've now got all the weapons, so good luck to me. I used my dandelion tuft to glide into this little cave here, and then I used the bomb that I crafted earlier to blast open the doors. I needed to go in these doors because I was getting my only trigger I was able to use, the rotten berry charm, as well as some upgrade resources. The rotten berry charm pretty much just gives all my rotten weapons a poison nova. It's like the entire broodmother set bonus, but just 10 times worse. Now it's time to kill some wolf spiders for their wolf spider fangs, as well as the mithridism mutation, and then I went ahead and made 1 liquid rage. My next objective was to make some gastro goo, but I needed some aphid honeydew to craft it, so I went around and killed 40 different aphids, and finally got the aphid honeydew, which is somewhat a rare drop. I went ahead and broke this plant to get some flowered petals for the grinder for later on. I then made the gastro goo and duplicated it a few times for just in case I run out, and because I really just didn't want to farm aphid honeydew again. And now being in the haze, being immune to the gas without a gas mask on, I got some infected weevils to blow up the door for me, gaining access to the hedge lab. And inside the hedge lab was an infected ladybug boss that wasn't too much of a challenge. Usually I stomp her, but in this challenge run, my weapons are really bad, and she was somewhat a hard boss fight, you can say that. She was guarding yet again another duper disc, super chip, and a bunch of goodies such as bombs and granola bars. I went inside a trash heap to find my next upgrade for armor, the crusty roly poly helmet, which which is funny enough the last armor set I'll be needing to get. In the Black Anthill, I did this parkour trick to get into this chest to get some gum nuggets, but the devs have clearly patched this out, so thank you devs, I appreciate it. I then used one of the brat bursts I got from the Haze lab to blast open to get inside the Black Ant lab, and then gained access to Sector A, Sector B, and collected a bunch of goodies in these storage rooms. And now let's throw a difficulty power spike, the assistant manager. And when I was first fighting him, I drank my liquid rage that I crafted, and my strategy was just to swing at him, but I realized it did like little to no damage, so I changed my strategy up. Granted, my Red Ant club has gotten no upgrades to it, but throwing the weapon did substantial damage to him, so that was my strategy, just throwing the Red Ant club inside of his face till he died. So I yoinked the assistant manager card off him and ran away. And finally collecting the very last super chip. Then I backtracked to the sandbox where I killed this one ant lion, as I needed to go inside the salt mines, not to get the salt at this point in time, but to get the next armor piece I would need, the crusty roly-poly breastplate. Then I used the assistant manager keycard to get into the sandbox lab outpost where I collected the sandbox lab burgle chip, then ate some of these spicy globs and mint globs to get some more mutations that I would need for later on. I went ahead and farmed up some bees for bee fuzz and bee stingers, as I need a stinger for a boss recipe later on, and bee fuzz just to repair my bee stinger spear. Next up was time to go into the up yard where I threw my spear in a Black Ox's face far too many times, as I now need Black Ox parts to get the Black Ox hammer, and I was just missing one part short, so that means I need to duplicate it. Over near the termite den, I killed 2 termite soldiers, which dropped me 1 termite pincer each, which I would then need to craft the termite axe. And after doing a little parkour, I found this backpack which had 5 twinkling shells in it, which I'd need to upgrade to level 8 and 9 later on. I then went ahead and crafted up the termite axe, and then used that termite axe to farm up 10 pupa hide, which I'll then turn that 10 pupa hide into 2 pupa leather, which I'll then need for the Black Ox hammer. I had the rascal rogue mutation equipped and somehow stole a fire ant head off one of these fire ants, but none of their heads were gone, so I'll take it I guess. And now it's my favorite buggy time of the game, to break 3 wasp hives to get the wasp hive disturbed. Into one of these pond lab outposts, there was just a water boatman just chilling in here, so like, what's up my guy? But the main reason I was in here was to use the assistant manager keycard to activate this button, which then opens up a door in the stump lab. Then at the super duper, I duplicated 1 Black Ox part because I was just too lazy to kill another Black Ox beetle. I then gave back Burgle all these super chips and normal chips that I collected, then bought a bunch of different tier 2 and tier 3 upgrades from his shop. Back at base, I made the pupa hide to pupa leather and crafted myself the Black Ox hammer, and then upgraded my gear and armor slightly, just a little bit more, but not too much. And now it was time to go around the entire lower yard and collect a bunch of milk molars and mega milk molars. Then I spent those milk molars on maxed active mutations, maximum health and stamina, and also max consumable and resource stack size. I hucked a bomb over at this leaning shovel, blew up the rock, which gave me access to the picnic table. I was up here for 2 reasons: complete my crusty roly-poly armor set, and also rolling a d20 on this dice, maxing out my cryptogram mutation, giving me a 5% crit chance. It was now time to go back into the salt mines, and when I was mining the salt, I was like, what if I get the trinket? I mean, it's a good 1% chance drop, right, but I can't be able to use it in this challenge run. Then I went inside more dens and then got some more spicy shards and mint shards just for upgrades for later on. I also went ahead and farmed some charcoal chunks, as I need 4 of them to craft the oven, because once again, no oven, no bosses. I then maxed out all my armor and upgrades all the way up until tier 2 upgrading, then went ahead and duplicated my stinger spear, rotten rubber blade, and rotten red ant club, as if I lose it, then I get no way of getting it back. Back at base, I crafted an oven, made 5 spicy globs and then brewed my BLT, and then crafted my lava blade down level 6 spicy, as this will be my brood mother killer. I also made a bunch of glue mashes, as I need repair glue to repair any of my gear that's past level 5. I collected the brood mother BLT, then made some salt globs, as I was now going ahead to fight the brood mother. I had the rascal rogue mutation equipped to hopefully get a brood mother chunk, and nope, once again I get the trinket, another useless thing that I do not need. And now I know my weapon was going to be really weak against her, but I didn't know it was going to be this weak. But once again, I know how to perfect block, I know how to block pretty much anything, and she went down quite easily, only repairing my lava blade twice, and getting 4 out of the 5 chunks I would need for the mantis boss recipe. Gee, I really wish I got a part from her instead of the trinket, hey. Back at base, I crafted more of these salt globs, as I wanted a level 7 salty spear, then duplicated some salt globs because I was just too lazy to go out and farm more salt. Back at base, I now went ahead and upgraded all my gear to as much as I could, so pretty much level 8 gear is all I had. I then upgraded one of my rotten stinger spears down the level 7 salty path. I used a grind to get plant slurry, then I tamed an aphid, as having an aphid pet means I run out of stamina less while running. Also a free inventory slot, and the newest update, pets can't die. They have invincibility turned on with the base game, and I'll definitely not find a game breaking bug that I will be using later on. Back at home, I cooked up 5 mint globs and then upgraded another stinger spear down the fresh path, as I need this for the mant boss fight and the infected broodmother. Speaking of mint, I broke some mint ice caps to get some more mint shards, as I want my stinger spear to be almost maximum level when fighting the infected broodmother. At the full size scabby, I broke up in the back and put in the replacement fuse and turned it on. And while the message was coming in, I got some sour lumps and some toenails, as I need both these materials for boss items and the embiggening cocktail later on. run. And now it's time to go into the undershed. But before I went to fight anything, I went inside this little pipe to kill some scarabs because once again I need twinkling shells to get tier 3 upgrades. And now it's time for the Mant boss fight, but I didn't realize my weapon would do this much damage at level 6 and rotten. But to be fair, the Mant is very weak to stabbing and mid damage, so it would make sense. And like not even a minute or two later he went down. So after the man died, I went over to Wendell and freed him from his containment, collected the grilled signs, then also collected the lava garner meal as it just gives me a base crit chance boost. And then inside the termite den, I decided to take out the king and every single termite in sight, as I would need termite parts to make a bunch of repair glue, and this was very profitable as well, as I only need to repair my rotten stinger spear twice. Over at the Java-matic, I used my last and remaining bomb to blast open the cracked blast here and placed the empty and beginning cell. Inside the Broiling Boy bin, I chucked my Black Ox hammer at this armor here to bring it down, giving me easy access, and inside I also got tier 2 of Natural Explorer. Inside the Wasp Hive, I got the Wasp Queen boss recipe as well, and to top it off, I got the Forgotten Burgle chip for the Dissection Expert mutation and some more raw science. Now inside the Stump Lab, I did some parkour and got the Mantis boss recipe, and also while I was in here in the upper yard, I was collecting tier 2 and tier 3 upgrade materials for armor and weapons and a bunch of milk molars, such as this jackpot right here. Back at base, I crafted up a bunch of glue mashes. As you guessed it, I was turning that termite part all into glue. I cooked up some more mint gloves, as well as the Mantis boss recipe and the Wasp Queen boss recipe. And in the morning, I collected all my repair glue and came out with 26 repair glue, meaning this was a very profitable termite run. Back in the oven, I made some sour globs and more mint globs, and then used those sour globs to upgrade a Red Ant Club down level 6 sour, as I'd use this in the Director Schmechter boss fight. And on my way to the Mantis boss, I upgrade my max active mutations, maximum health, and maximum healing, now meaning I'm fully maxed out. I'm not collecting any more milk molars for the run. I then went ahead and took out some black ants, as I need their parts to make the black ant shovel, to get some gum nuggets, as I need that for the beginning cocktail, and to plug the haze. And now it's time for the Mantis boss fight, and instead of using my stinger spears as some sort of like long range weapon, I was being a man going in there tanking all the hits. Granted, I almost died like maybe 2 or 3 times, but I came out a man after this. And for some reason, every time I kill the Mantis, he always tries to jump away at the very end, but I have to keep reminding him he's stuck in there with me, not me being stuck in there with him. And now right after the Mantis boss fight, it was now time for the Wasp Queen boss fight, and I was unsure about this boss fight because I only had one stinger spear and I kind of just didn't want to throw it in the air and hopefully get it stuck like mid boss fight, so I just had to make do. And it was at this point I realized that I found a game breaking bug. So my aphid's in the boss arena and it can't die, so he pretty much is an aggro tank, which I thank him for. But it was definitely funny to see how boss fights would react to other people in the boss fight arena with me, because I usually just play solo. But after continuously swinging and missing in the air and just stabbing the Wasp Queen about 4 million times, she went down. I quit my Dissection Expert mutation, gave a pet to my pet aphid because he definitely deserves it for taking all those hits and not dying somehow, and when I lured the Wasp Queen, I got 2 heads, which gave me an idea. Now after the Wasp Queen, it's now time to go into the Moldor Castle, where I got the infected broodmother recipe, and then now decide to fight Director Schmechter. This boss fight's relatively easy. You just crouch underneath him and block like those orb attacks he throws if you don't have a shield. And my strategy was throwing my level 6 rotten Red Ant Club at his face with liquid rage the entire time, and I was dealing chunks of damage to him. And once again, level 6 rotten Red Ant Club, by the way. And not even a 3-minute fight, he went down, and I said right here in the clip, this was super easy. This was definitely one of the easiest boss fights I've ever done, even though it's a rotten only challenge. It was now time to go back into the pond as I collected more muscle sprouts. I didn't show a clip of me making any smoothies because I didn't really drink any smoothies during the run regardless. And back at the field station, I researched the black ant head and the wasp queen head to get the black ant shovel and a secret recipe for later on. I then went ahead and crafted the black ant shovel and realized, hey, I can make the boss sauce recipe, which gives me increased crit chance. All I need to do is just duplicate more parts, which is exactly what I did. I duplicated some more mint jewels as I was too lazy to go out and farm up some more mint, so I just duplicated 3. I've got like 28k raw science to just spend here. And at this point as well, I was also duplicating a bunch of items for the inventing cocktails such as koi scales and toenails. And once I upgrade my stinger spear down to level 8 fresh, I decided to just duplicate this just a few more times so I don't run out in the boss fight. And back at base, I made the multi-hoagie and I had just one of each head, enough to make the boss sauce. So of course I had to duplicate a bunch of them. I duplicated, I think it was like 5 liquid rage and 5 boss sauce just so it would be enough for the boss fight. I also crafted up a weevil head mount and like marked it, which apparently gives me increased damage to infected creatures, but I'm pretty sure this does not include the infected broodmother. And as a multi-hoagie finished cooking, it was now time. I also had a spare gastro goo, so that would come in handy, as I'm now able to walk through the entire haze without taking a single point of damage. Next to the infected broodmother lair, I went ahead and got some gum, as I need this gum to plug the haze and for the embiggening cell. And plugging the haze with the gum also unlocks the infected broodmother lair. And summoning the infected broodmother, it was now time to drink the liquid rage and boss sauce, and wish me luck. And I'm going into this fight blind. I didn't expect how much damage I was going to do, but throwing the spear actually did substantial damage to her. Like, I'm quite surprised here. But I'm not too surprised considering this is the first phase, which is the easiest phase. And shockingly, the second phase was just like phase 1, but this time it took a bit longer because she could heal herself. But now at this point, just sitting here waiting, in my mind it was like Paralyzer did this, but it was way too hard, so I was hoping that I could be able to change this. And when she woke back up, phase 3 has started, and I was hitting her with my spear. I was doing little to no damage, but throwing the spear did more damage than just stabbing her, so throwing was definitely my strategy here. But it was definitely very difficult, as throwing and blocking at the same time doesn't really work. And as it turns out, every single spear throw, she was barely healing in this boss fight, and I was just dealing too much damage to her. Throwing the spears in her face, knocking her out, getting the enhanced crit chance from my crit mutations and smoothies, and coming to the very end of the boss fight, a spear throw to the face, meaning I killed the infected Brumella with Rotten only, on medium difficulty. Probably the first person to ever do it recorded. I hit a yippee and a hooray like an NPC, because I'm just that dumb. And as tradition, after the infected Brumella, we did a mixer, get stage 1 of Guard Dog, which we'll then use in the final defense. And speaking about the final defense, here's what it looks like. Very simplistic, just stem scaffoldings and mushroom bricks around the area. And with the click of a button, the final defense and final mission of the game has begun. And my strategy was just to throw my fresh spear at anything squishy like fireflies and ants, and then anything big like the Blackhawk Beetle or ladybirds, I just throw my level 6 sour red ant club at it. And the strategy worked really well, as I was just sitting here standing around doing nothing for half the defense. So if Grounded wants to make this harder, I'll definitely be up for the challenge. And with the beginning cocktail finally mixed, it was now time to pick it up and head home. So like I just said, I picked up the field beginning cell, ran all the way down to the lower yard into the spacer, placed a new field and beginning cell, gave Wendell a good old smack in the head, and activated spacer, ending the Rotten only challenge run. This was definitely one of the hardest challenge runs I've done. I think the tier 1 challenge run was still definitely harder, especially on medium difficulty, and in this challenge run I didn't die a single time. So if you made it this far, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.